Paul Homchick on first today. Hello, Paul, here normally in the Bay Area. Gordon Smith in Denmark, outside Copenhagen. Who else is checking in here as we got Greg Phillips. Boy, talk about the opposite. The Antipodes, Greg Phillips from the Gold Coast of Oz, Australia. Peter Taylor in New York. Hello, Peter. Ed Worley down in SoCal checking in as well. Welcome to all of you. Peter Selwyn in Auckland. Auckland calling, not London calling, Auckland calling. Count down the last few seconds here. Welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining us. Let's get this one across the line. Pierre DeYoung also, I missed him. He's down in SoCal checking in, as are any number of others of our friends. Pedro Foiling Sailor, where it's early in Sydney 0602. Likewise for Greg Phillips, early in their Wednesday morning. Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor. I'm walking at Balmoral in half an hour, watching replay after that. Enjoy your walk, Peter. We'll miss you.
It'd be a lovely day to walk Balmoral.
Yes, indeed. How do you know? It could be a crappy day down there, too.
I know.
John Lambert's fan, it's always probably a lovely day to walk at Balmoral on the beach there. Back from the far north, good evening from Holland. John Lambert's fan bureau. We're going to get John on the show. We got to work on that. Greetings from Galveston, Jonathan Frank is saying. Clayton Allen Embley in Annapolis. And we are live here in Studio B at the Beach Street Yacht Club, where it's a couple minutes after 1300 on our Tuesday afternoon in San Francisco. Welcome to show number 620. I'm Tom Eamon, of course, with my co-host Julia Veda-Kent, the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, my coordinating producer, my landlady and dear friend. I trust you are well.
For the moment.
Just for the moment.
Yes.
Mary Jude Szymanski in Philadelphia. Julie Aarons checking in from cloudy but warm Cleveland. Well, it's that time of year where it can be hot and humid or it can be still cold. Let's carry on here. You see this photo I was using in that cover photo. This is, that flag on the right? You recognize that flag?
The Swiss flag.
Denmark.
Oh, that's
Swiss
Denmark.
is white with a red cross in the middle.
Uh-oh.
Denmark, and that's because you have the mayors of Newport, Rhode Island, and Aarhus, Denmark.
Oh, Aarhus.
They're heading from Newport, of course, over to Aarhus.
Yes.
On leg 5 as we speak. This was in Newport on Sunday during the Dock Out show. By all accounts, a nice day on Sunday. But before we get to all that, we're going to feature that on today's show.
Good.
I just want to say thanks for last Friday's show. We had a lot of people watch and replay and so on, our tribute to Buddy Melgus, and we will do as I've said, we'll do a tribute with Zoom, and you all can come on and give your own thoughts and remembrances of the late, great Buddy, who passed away last week at age 93. And even last Friday, I just want to thank all of you who came on with great comments, including Peter Stevenson, who had some photos when he was in Zenda with Buddy, ice boating, and at home with Gloria and the gang. And Peter, thank you very much, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor, for your contribution to that show. Likewise, the Sailing Museum, the statue, we talked about it a little bit, but that photo, I wanted to give credit to our Fozy Peter Taylor in New York, who was in Newport not too long ago, took that picture and sent it along, apropos Buddy and his passing. And Peter, whom we spoke, Julia, after the show.
Absolutely, yeah.
To thank him for that, but I wanted to thank him again, because it's the Fozy who make this show go.
Absolutely.
We appreciate very much your contributions. The late, great Buddy Melgus.
That's a great statue, too.
It is a great statue. But Buddy was born in 1930, passed away last week. May he rest in peace. What's happened since that show on Friday? Julia, do you recognize that gentleman?
Ah, yes.
Did you watch the game last night?
Part of it.
Those of you who follow basketball, the National Basketball Association in this country, last night, you see the broom?
Yep.
The Denver Nuggets, behind the strength of their star, Nikola Jokic, who's from Serbia originally. He was the MVP of this final series in the Western Division. And we are pleased to report that they that is the Denver Nuggets, defeated in a clean sweep the LA Lakers, who beat our beloved Warriors here in San Francisco. Clean sweep, Denver over the LA Lakers last night, 4-0. As a squeaker, tight game, but no big surprise. As also a bit of a surprise in the East because Miami has taken a 3-0 lead, and it looks like they will sweep the historic Boston Celtics. I mean,
right.
they're venerable. And it looks like they will sweep the Celtics, and we'll have Miami, the upstart Miami Heat, who are ranked fairly low. They were like seventh or eighth against the Celtics for second or third seeded going into their Eastern Division tournament. But anyway, bravo Zulu to Nikola, to the Joker, and to the Denver Nuggets. So those of you who follow basketball, we do care a little bit about it, only not so much when our Warriors get beaten.
I've only watched him closely when he was playing the Warriors, and he was terrific.
He was, and also terrific, as Julie Aarons is pointing out, LeBron James, who is from her home state in the area around Cleveland, and he also played there for a while. LeBron still scored 40 points. And the guy's 38.
Yes.
Talking about retirement today, last night after, I don't know if you watched his press conference, but there was a fair bit of talk about Mr. James retiring. He's making so much money from his business deals in China and elsewhere that he doesn't really need to go spend all these hours beating his poor old body up on the court.
Yeah.
Okay, so Julie, I'm sure you're a big fan of LeBron. It was nice to see him smiling a little bit. Fritz Mueller is happy because his Miami Heat are moving right along, it looks like. And when is that game? Tonight or tomorrow night? I can't remember. Steve Atkins predicting a sweep against the Celtics. I'm thinking a little wager might be in order. Well, Steve, who's up in the North, he's probably cheering for the... Okay, enough about American basketball. We'll see, Steve. I'll talk to you after the show. Now, do you know what day it is, Julia? Here is your first clue.
Capsize.
No. What else? We'll see what we'll see if any of the Fozy come up with this. And, of course, Fritz Mueller is also talking about hockey. Bobrovsky in the net for the Panthers. Shutout last night. Yeah, they're playing well as well. But the NHL, I love hockey. But what's it? What is today? That capsized boat has turned... Turtle. There's your first clue.
Right.
Steve Gruber is wondering if it's something 420. No, that was who's 420? Fritz Mueller, Steve Gruber, Turtle Day, the day Moby Dick was published. Bannero is asking, hi, Rick. James Frederick Bland, LeBron will never be a Michael Jordan. Well, I don't know. Hasn't he got the highest scoring?
I think he does.
I think he eclipsed, who was it? I think the highest scoring.
Yeah.
And tip your boat over today. No, that's not right, Mary Longpreet. What else is this signify for today? 180-degree flip. Yes, Steve Atkins. Graham Sweeney's got it, I guess, and he'll play with an orca. We're going to talk about the orcas attacking boats here later in the show. Steve Gruber also asked the question, is it Turtle Day? Well, we'll give you one more clue to see if you think that's right. Do you know what that is, Julia?
Sea bag.
It is a duffel bag, specifically a spinnaker. You can see the two of the three corners of the spinnaker there in what is called a spinnaker duffel, a.k.a. a turtle.
Aha.
It's also called a turtle.
I didn't know that.
So...
I've never called it turtle.
See if other... Super Snapper Day. The boat looks the right way up from down under. Sean Hogan was talking about that previous. Clever Fozy.
Yes.
Yeah, Larry Magic. Spinnaker Turtle. James Boomer Bland gets it. Spinnaker Turtle invented. Spinnaker Turtle bag. No. There's another clue. Oh, we got him today. Usually everybody gets it on the first or second slide. And that indeed is a big...
Tortoise.
That's a turtle, actually, a sea turtle, I think.
Wow.
I learned today the difference between a sea turtle and a tortoise.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Today, believe it or not, is World Turtle Day.
Yay.
And you wonder, W Whiskey Tango Foxtrot is that? Well, of course, as you would imagine, we have the video.
It's the celebration of World Turtle Day, or celebration if you're cheeky.
The 23rd of May.
It could even be a skelebration, since the turtle shell is actually part of the skeleton and made up of over 50 bones. But enough shenanigans. Turtle Day sheds a light on more serious matters. It was founded in 1990 for the protection of all species of turtle and tortoise. Many are rapidly disappearing. In fact, half of all turtle species are threatened with extinction. Overcollection for food, traditional medicine, or as pets. Habitat destruction, disease, and other threats contribute to the health of these testudine order members. Outside of these unpleasant threats, turtles have the longest lifespan of any animal. Not only can they live to be the oldest, they belong to the oldest reptile group in the world, older than snakes, crocodiles, and alligators. Two of the oldest turtle fossils yet discovered lived in the age of dinosaurs, between 220 and 240 million years ago, though science is still out on their evolutionary origins. One provides evidence that the turtle's closest relatives are dinosaurs and birds. The other points to lizards and snakes. Aside from having such long lives, these shelled beauties are a versatile and vital part of the world's ecosystems. They live on all continents except Antarctica, as well as 3 of the world's oceans. Sea turtles play a role in the health of corals, seagrass beds, and beach dunes, along with helping to keep the food web balanced. From the small to the large, turtles, tortoises, and the occasional terrapin deserve to be heard, even if they lack vocal cords. Help these creatures live their best long lives by keeping them in the wild. So look, but don't touch, and let out a slow cheer for World Turtle Day.
The celebration of World Turtle Day,
Yes.
courtesy of Nat Geo Wild. That's a really cool website, cool YouTube channel, and so on. Appreciate it. Now, speaking of World Turtle Day, I thought we should talk about how do you write a turtled boat. Do you recognize the gentleman there?
No, I don't.
Okay. How do you write a turtled boat? Well, we have the video.
Hi, I'm John Emmett, author of Be Your Own Tactics Coach. I'm here to help you improve
From
your
11
sailing
years
with a
ago.
series of video clips. It's important to get on the centerboard as quickly as possible. If you don't get on the centerboard quickly enough, then the boat may be blown completely flat. Here, this is called turn turtle. Once on board the boat, grab hold of the centerboard and start to pull it up as quickly as you can. Pull your body as far away from the center line, and when the boat comes up to a normal capsize position, stand on the centerboard and bring the boat up as you normally would. Once again, grab the till extension and main sheet. As soon as you're able, sheet in and start sailing again.
How do you like that?
Yes.
I found that on YouTube this morning, and that is a 2012 video. John Emmett turns. That's the name of the video. Turns turtle.
Oh, that's lovely.
And it was a promo for his book, Be Your Own Tactics Coach, which is still available on Amazon for $69.75
Wow.
for $70. No wonder John's a man of the week. He's moving all over the place on the strength of selling this book. You can buy it used also. You see that for $69.75 or on Kindle for $11.53.
Yeah.
John Emmett. That's only the first of 3 videos from him today, so we appreciate his contribution. Yeah, Fritz Mueller saying, "Look at that. He's so clean shaven."
Yes.
Shaven. James Frederick Bland, Ninja Turtle. Okay, enough about turtles on World Turtle Day. There really is such a day.
Yeah, you're gonna. What's the difference between turtles and tortoise?
The size of the shell. The turtle shell is more streamlined,
Mm-hmm.
and the tortoise shell is bigger. But you see James Bland's comment. You talk about eggheads. Broadly speaking, the word terrapin is used to describe those chelonians. Is that how you pronounce that?
Right.
Living in freshwater, while the word turtle is reserved for those in marine saltwater environments.
That's
What a
interesting.
smart group we have on
Yes.
here, Julia.
Yes.
Did you know that?
No, I knew there was a difference of spending the majority of life in the water or majority of life on land.
Gordon Smith says wildlife illustrated. Yeah. Speaking of John Emmett, let's get to his segment, Coach's Corner, here in the A block. Our Super Fozy and Olympic coach, John Emmett in England, checks in with this report both from Weymouth and from the family farm.
Hi, it's John Emmett. I'm here at Castle Cove Sailing Club. Accused of grin, someone literally fell over in the background, but fortunately for them and their camera, my camera, nobody was hurt. So going to do a double setting for this show. So please remember to share immediately so people can watch it live and join in with the comments. I'm here at Castle Cove, feeling a bit of pressure to get on the water. You can probably see the boats in the background. We will be launching in 15 minutes time. And the cadets really are the future of our sport. So if you have the chance, go to John Emmett Sailing YouTube channel and check out the video I did there with Al, really nice guy who's organising the cadets. It runs throughout the summer, and this idea is really just to encourage kids to get on the water. We have a whole variety of classes, kids from 8 years old and up, and I just think this is a really important model for lots of clubs to look at, because just encouraging those young sailors means that the future of the sport is bright, and that is what we all aim for. So it's a sport for life. My main involvement, as you're probably aware, is with the ILCA class, and I'm still in talks of sorting out things for the Emerging Nations programme, because that is a way of spreading the sport globally, and that's something that I was very passionate about when working with Romania. That was a country that has never qualified in their own right to make it to the games, and I think with the hard work we've done, I think they will, but it's never guaranteed. The Orca class is obviously having slight teething problems at the moment, just trying to get all the boats the same with multiple manufacturers. I think probably the latest thing they're looking at is the boat rocker, because a few millimetres here and there makes a massive difference. I remember before, and this is going back to Bart Simpson's time, we would buy all the boats, buy all the spars and get them out, and then the heavier sailors like Bart would take the stiffest top section and the stiffest bottom section, and then light people like myself, we'll be looking to have a more raked back boat and light bendy masts, one design class and all that, but there's always design tolerances. But I do think the sailing as a sport is definitely heading in the right direction, and a few years time all these teething problems will be sorted and everything will be better. So yeah, this is my weekend at Weymouth, and I will give you some more thoughts from the farm. Well, I'm back at the farm now and gradually learning the flight paths from London Gatwick. So quick take here. You probably realise that one of the skills you need as a coach, and something I work very, very hard on, is thinking ahead. So this was my idea of bringing you to the farm so you can see the progress in the background of the granary project. However, I've got to be honest, I'm not very impressed. So when we think about training, we say the harder I work, the luckier I got. And I mean, it's half a joke, but the more time you put in, the better you get at skills. In fact, there's research to show for elite level, it can take 10,000 hours to learn any new skill to a high level. But yes, very, very simply, you need to put the hours in. And it's very nice to come and visit my mum. And we've talked about this rest and recuperation being an important part of any campaign, and to have balance in your life. So you have social, you have your study or your education, of course, you have your sailing. But I've been coming quite often, and I think the Fozy will agree with me, there's not much progress made. And that would appear to me because not much time has been put in. So that will be my job for today, to find out what's going on with the granary project, and I will see you on the show.
Just as John started talking about that, some construction project has started here in the neighborhood. Julie, can you hear that?
I can, but no, just trying to help him a bit.
Push your mic up, please. Up there you go, and then you'll be better heard. And hopefully, this construction project behind us won't be making too much. Thank you, John. He did another report, and it's so cool. with the cadet officer at Castle Cove. And I think he's talking about the cadets and the future of our sport, and I really like this video, so I'm going to run it. Have a look.
Hi, I'm John Emmett. I'm here on a lovely, sunny, windy Saturday morning in Weymouth, and it's time for Castle Cove Cadets. So can you just tell us a little bit about what that is, who you are, and what we're doing?
Fantastic, thanks John. So we are running Castle Cove Cadets today. My name's Alistair. I'm the cadet officer at Castle Cove. We're running a couple of sessions today, one for intermediate crew and one for advanced or more racing crew. We're going to go out and the intermediates will do a bit of reaching, bit of tacking, bit of jibing, just learn a few more skills, and then the racing group will go out to our start vessel and do 3 races. We're going to try and get 3 good races in and hopefully get some good video and give us some feedbacks.
No pressure with the video.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the ages? Because, you know, Portland Harbour, it's a fantastic place. I am biased. I moved to sail here, but it's inherently safe. So when do people sort of start moving into cadets?
We take cadets from the age of 8 and hopefully with a little bit of experience, but we like to move them on, give them a good experience on the water and move them up into, through the racing group into doing their own stuff, doing their own events, and having a great time.
Wow, I mean, we can see in the background here, it's a pretty windy day. Yeah. I think one of the nice things we have is it's just that flat water, inherently safe. What would you say to people who are not sure about joining? Well,
you're right, the location of Portland Harbour is absolutely stunning. It's the best place in the world to learn to sail, in my view. It's flat water, there's always some shelter. You can go racing in and sailing in most conditions. It's just a beautiful place to go sailing.
And finally, can you just tell us how long it runs? It's Saturday mornings, every Saturday morning through the summer, is that right?
Yeah. We try to run every Saturday unless there's sort of a bigger event on, in which case we skip a week.
You don't want to get eaten by the moths or something?
Yeah, they're far too fast for us. But we run 10:30 every Saturday, April through September. We want to keep things running in the winter as well, with sort of off the water events running through for the cadets. Just keep it rolling, keep all the cadets enjoying themselves and having a great time as a group.
Brilliant. Well, I'll join you on the water later then.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, John.
I just thought that was a fabulous video. Look at it. And look at all the different boats, not just cadets, but the Wasps, the OK Dinghy, the Topper.
Yeah.
As several of you pointed out, and to have kids be down at the waterfront, towing their boats on the dolly down to the water, rigging it, getting out, sailing around, fresh air, exercise, hanging out with their friends, going and have a burger and some fries, or maybe some banger and fries. I don't know, Julia. What do you think?
I think it's wonderful.
Gordon Smith saying Castle Cove is and Stingray agreeing it's a fabulous video. Gordon saying Castle Cove Club is a wonderful spot on the bay, perfect place for a club. Pedro foiling sailor. When I achieved getting the laser to foil in 06, we noticed that the boat varied 20 millimeters, 3/4 of an inch in core thickness when we designed a multi-fit center case insert to fit all 220,000 lasers worldwide. Yeah, I remember when in my sunfish and laser days, you'd always go weigh the hulls of boats when they came in at the local dealer and get the boat, even though they're all supposed to weigh 125 pounds, or in the case of a sunfish, 139 pounds. Some were lighter, some were heavier. Some sails were a little bit better than the others. One design sails, they always were. The harder you work, Andrew Dolly Davola, and he is so right, the harder you work, as John was saying, the luckier you get.
Right.
And that is right. And also somebody said, boy, and we say this all the time here on Emmett Illustrated, Ryman is saying, yeah, it was Emmett Illustrated. 3 videos today. Not for lack of material, but just because they were so good. Yeah, saying, when you are fast, your tactics are great. You're lucky and your tactics are even better. Fabulous video. There were so many young sailors in a regatta I went to last weekend. So fun and refreshing, Steve Gruber. Thank you for that, Steve. Thank you for that video, John Emmett. As John Emmett sailing, get to the front of the fleet. with his regular submissions. Every show. I don't think he's missed one in a proverbial coon's age, as we
I
say
don't
in Michigan.
remember him missing one.
John also likes to say,
Please subscribe and share to your own Facebook and YouTube page.
indeed. James Frederick Bland also saying, I'd rather be lucky than good, which is what my father always said. You guys are color coordinated today. Go One Design. Are we color coordinated?
Well, sort of.
I guess my shirt is kind of blue-purple. It's more blue on camera. But in any event, John, thank you very much for that video. Do share as he suggests, and we appreciate that. It doesn't make us any money, really. It just helps spread the good word. Speaking of spreading the good word, let's go to Newport, Rhode Island, where they have started on Sunday, leg 5. Started Sunday the 21st. They're going across the North Atlantic now to Aarhus in Denmark. What is it, 3,500 nautical miles, give or take, from Newport. And it is well and truly underway. Just to tell you a little bit about the track, once again, as on leg 3 in the Deep South, the race organizers are likely to impose a virtual exclusion zone to the north to protect the fleet from the threat of icebergs. The route takes the fleet across the top of Scotland and past the Scottish outcrop of, and I get to say it again, Muckle Flugga. Where's Graham Sweeney when we know him?
Yeah.
When we need him. Muckle Flugga in the Shetland Islands, once the most northerly inhabited part of the British Isles before what is expected to be a fast blast across the cold and lumpy North Sea to Skagen at the very northern tip of Denmark's Jutland Peninsula. James Bland, there's still more than 2 boats. Yeah, there's actually 4 boats racing. Anyone know what Aarhus means in Danish? Stingray is asking. I'll bet you any number of people know that. Dolly is a legend. He's under every boat. Pedro Foiling Sailor is talking. But there's more here. Let me carry on with one more comment about this course. There, the crews will turn their bow south and head down through the, how do you say this, Kattegat Sea? And the finish line in Aarhus, depending on the conditions and the strength of the tides. The quickest strategy over this final stage could be the direct route, or in lighter winds, a coastal track taking advantage of local wind systems close to shore. So that's a bit of the preview of this fairly short course, fairly short track over to Aarhus. And it was supposed to start with the inshore race in Newport on Saturday. But because of the wind and rain, the organizers, and not because of the sailors so much, Julie. I mean, come on, what's a little rain among sailing friends? There was plenty of wind.
It depends on who they are.
But the Jamestown to Newport ferry shut down, and the spectators would not have enjoyed it so much at Sail Newport there at Fort Adams. So they postponed the start. Well, they postponed the import race until Sunday, when they ran it as the first part of the actual race, counted part of that race as the import race. There is a beautiful shot looking to the west from over downtown Newport, and there is the fort in the background, Fort Adams, and you can see the boats obviously tied up in the foreground. It was a beautiful late spring day on Sunday for the eventual start. And look, you see Wholesome PRB going out early. They were the first team to dock out because, as you know, they put their rig back. They got a new rig after dismasting down by Brazil, having the boat shipped up to Newport, and they are back in fact, they're in second place. When I just looked here
Amazing.
a minute ago, they are in second place, 24.6 nautical miles back of the leader, who, as we told you in the promo and the preview, is 11th Hour Racing once again. But you see them docking out here, and I want to say bravo Zulu to them and to that team.
Yes.
Because they are back in action here, but also they've recruited Charles Caudrelier to sail with them. And here's an interview.
My own project, but it's a short race, and Kevin asked me to come, and of course after this last leg with breaking match, I couldn't refuse to help him, and I understand he needs some fresh people, and I come. Yeah, I have a good rest after my last race, and I'm 100% full of energy to help him. It's a lot of pressure because this race is so tough, and when you are A and you know you can win, you are in position to win. But two more boats are in the same position, so the pressure is huge because this race is so tough. You just want to win it at this stage, and of course you cannot do any mistake now. We know that the next one will be very important because it's coefficient 2, so it's like 2 legs, and could be the key. So yes, the pressure is there, and as I say, everybody is exhausted. So it's really a difficult moment, especially for the skipper, because he has put so much energy to prepare the team, prepare the boat, and you don't want to fail for sure. So yeah, but it's about sport. I mean, it's like a finale of football or anything. Pressure is huge, and you're gonna manage it, not to try to change the way you. Sometimes you want to do too much, and that's where you do some big mistake. And you have to take some decision when you're on the water, because it's about navigation, shooting, and then with the pressure, it's difficult to make choice. So yeah, but it's like every sport. It's sometimes 90% is in your head, not in your arms, and that's what's going to happen, I think, on the next leg.
There were several videos, several interviews with Charles Caudrelier, and this thanks to Sail Magazine for this one. It was by far the best, hence why I ran it. But he mentioned Kevin at the top of that video, and of course he's talking about Kevin Escoffier, who's a skipper, who said, "Hey, come, we're in this race. They're all locked up. The Malizia and 11th Hour and these guys in Wholesome PRB are all locked up within a point or two, within a point at the start of this race. So we'll see how it's going to go. But just some more beautiful sights and sounds, not so much sounds, but sights from the start. You can see 11th Hour Racing, the home team. And Charlie Enright, of course, is from Rhode Island, went to Brown University as well. And they got a big send-off there on Sunday when they docked out. The racetrack, those of you who know Newport, this is looking, top of the slide up here is to the west-ish, southwest, north. Oh, there's a north indicator over here. So Fort Adams here, downtown Newport here, and they started in what is normally a prevailing, you normally get a southwesterly, except a sea breeze anyway, after weather systems might move through, and it swings around the compass, goes to the northwest, and et cetera, around the southeast and then back to the southwest. And they race out to Castle Hill and back and up under the bridge, and then out to the ocean to Aarhus, which, as you see, maybe Gordon Smith is telling us, Aarhus, a.k.a., he's got the Danish spelling with the little, what is that over the A, Julia? That's the round circle.
Yeah.
But in English, instead of Danish, we spell it A, like same with the umlaut in German when you put the EU instead of just the U umlaut. U-umlaut means the mouth of the river stream, according to Gordon Smith, of course, a Brit living in Denmark. Thanks for that. And they are now headed to Aarhus. That was shortly after the start. All four. It was fairly light at the start on Sunday. Team Malizia actually ended up winning the import portion of the start, which was that loop-de-doop we just showed you out to Castle Hill the second time. And they won, so they get points, which don't count for much, but they break ties and so on. There will be a trophy for the winner of the import series, if other than the winner of the overall. But here's the video of what actually happened.
Welcome to Newport for leg 5 of the 14th edition of the Ocean Race. Our teams are heading back to Europe, and leg 5 is about to get underway.
Because the import race was cancelled yesterday, the first section of this coastal part of the leg is going to count towards the import race results. So it's a double points leg, and on top of that they've got an import race score that they're going to score today.
Well, many legs completed and still some to go, but today the stage is set in Newport, and the conditions that we've got here are looking pretty good for racing. This is what's welcoming the teams out the water. And Sam, this is a real change from what we saw yesterday.
It's a bit of a different course this time because it's dictated by the Newport Harbour. So we've got the start right off Fort Adams. the boats will head off towards the harbour entrance, round the Castle Hill gate, and then they go back into the harbour through the start line gate, round Mark II, which is in the harbour, then towards the bridge, through the bridge, there's a gate to go through the bridge, round Mark III to port, back out through the bridge gate, around through the start line gate, and then heading off back out of the harbour for a final pass through the Castle Hill gate and the spectators on the point, and then out offshore around the Brenton Reef buoy, and then they'll be heading free out into the Atlantic to head towards Aarhus.
Timing, Abby, talk to me, please. Okay, understood.
Skipper Kevin Escoffier, Sam Goodchild down below. With 15 seconds to go, I would say that the American team have nailed this time on distance. They started ahead, they pushed ahead, they got the speed advantage, and they are going to start very clean here. Surely this is the home advantage. This is knowing what those currents are going to do. And Charlie Enright starts the import race in Newport and the departure of leg 5 in first place with a very healthy 3 boat length lead. And this is great view here if Charlie Enright wanted to look behind, because there's a fight going on here. Yeah, Team Holcim PRB are pushing Team Militia high. They are saying that Boris Herman has no right to go in there. Abby Ehler on the bow. She was pretty clear, pretty vocal as to what she thought about Team Militia. I mean, Team Militia had the speed there. I'm not sure whether Team Holcim PRB, while they had the right to close out the German team, whether they would have been able to. But either way, Team Militia are through. We have umpires on the water, and if there's a decision and a penalty to be given, it will come to us. But look at the procession that's now formed after that start. We have got 11th Hour Racing Team a good way ahead. Then it is Team Militia in second. Team Holcim PRB a little way to leeward in third. And Bioterm just trying to push up into fourth place. Yeah, it's going to be a big leg. And this is a great start for 11th Hour Racing Team. But as you say, there is a long way to go.
Next pressure, guys, in about a minute, okay? Expect tenor. I think it's a lefty.
Huge differences in speed here, isn't it? Huge differences stretching the boat out, but what an incredible start for 11th Hour Racing Team as leg 5 here in Newport gets underway.
This is a change because Nico Lundven has been helming all of the inshore sections and the import races. So on Militia, he's off this leg, which means we've got a new helmsman. It's Jan Elias, 2 times Solitaire du Figaro winner, an amazing sailor. So it's not going to be, it's not a problem for Militia. They've got another great helmsman on board. We can see 11th Hour coming towards the mark now, and it looks like they've chosen to tack around and not jibe around this gate. So there's obviously some tactical choices.
Again, the team that is deciding to make those different decisions, they've chosen a different decision with their head sail configuration, and Team Holcim PRB double down again with their tactics as well. They have decided to jibe. It's going to be the manoeuvre that keeps their momentum going a little bit better.
And yeah, I think it's a good choice to try that jibe. Tack is, as you said, it's a slower manoeuvre to do. Obviously, it's the right option tactically, but maybe the lower risk option is the jibe.
11th Hour Racing Team out in the lead at the moment, sailing over 12 knots. They're in the breeze. They need to stay on top of the import race series. That's going to be crucial to keep them feeling confident about ultimately taking that top spot. Team Militia right now in second place here. There's an interesting thing happening with the maths here, but basically, to cut to the chase, if Team Militia can get in front of Charlie Enright and 11th Hour Racing Team and put a boat between them, then Team Militia will leave Newport in second place overall. But look at how close it is getting here with 11th Hour Racing Team and Team Militia. It does seem like the Americans have really slowed up here. The speed now under 4 knots. I mean, Sam, this is getting a bit tight here for Charlie Enright to try and hold this lead. Well, a lot of work, and it's going to be crucial at this moment here because Team Milizia and 11th Hour Racing Team are now rounding that next mark. It should be a turn to the left, but 11th Hour Racing Team have left an enormous gap. The shift forced them to come lower. Team Milizia somehow managed to keep tighter to the wind, but still keep the speed with them. Now they turn around, harden up onto the breeze, and if it hadn't happened before, it's happening now. The wind is now coming into Team Milizia's sails first, and 11th Hour Racing Team are getting the dregs. And now is the turn of Team Holcim PRB to see whether the trimmers and the information they've been feeding to the helm has made the difference, because remember, at the last turning mark, the Swiss team were back in 4th place. Bioterm tacked to follow the line of Team Milizia and 11th Hour Racing Team. And the jibe for Kevin Escoffier, maybe that made the difference. Maybe it was just the pure sailing. These two boats have traded windward position to leeward. But Kevin Escoffier now slipping up into 3rd place. A lot of hours on the water, testing it, learning the boats. I know that's what you guys have been doing around the world as 11th Hour Racing Team and Team Milizia attacking and trading places for first. We'll have to see exactly who leads at the next turning mark.
Also, everybody else on board are, feeling the sail, especially from the trimmer. We have the tendency to give him a lot of feedbacks. If you can go a little higher or lower, or if we feel that we're a bit inside the sail, it's really hard boat to sail.
An attack there for Bioterm. And Frankie, you were saying that the boat Bioterm, the way that it's set up, it delivered a bit of a difference here. On board now with Milizia, and it looks like they're setting up for a manoeuvre.
Synchronized tacking.
Synchronized tacking, a very tight battle. Look at that, the furl almost happening precisely at the same time. I'm not actually sure which of the teams decided to lead that tack, who was attacking, who was defending, or whether it was just one of those lovely moments in sailboat racing where you decide to tack and you look up and you think, oh, Team Milizia right now to windward of 11th Hour Racing Team. This is the battle from of 1st and 2nd. A beautiful breeze. The spectators are there to greet them, creating a little bit of a wash for the two boats that are battling for 3rd and 4th, Team Holcim PRB and Bioterm. The two boats, the leading boats, 1st and 2nd, Team Milizia and 11th Hour Racing Team, are now under the bridge with plenty of clearance there. Every time that the ocean racers come to Newport, the bridge provides such an amazing spectacle as we're racing round Narragansett Bay. If anything's going to make an IMOCA seem small on the water, it's something like this. But right now, though, it's all about this race, and difficult to call here. As Tom was saying, Sam, there's not much between these two boats, but light winds, tricky conditions, the windward position surely is the safer bet. On board with 11th Hour Racing Team and Charlie Enright. At one point, their passengers are going to have to jump off, but the facial expression has not shifted. The concentration is still there, Frankie. I mean, he is locked into every boat length. Team Holcim PRB now coming up to the Newport Bridge, about to go underneath in 3rd place. Bioterm back in 4th. The leaders, Team Milizia and 11th Hour Racing Team, getting near that first mark. Team Milizia about to tack and round, just holding themselves clear, keeping the speed, that little bear away, just building a bit of momentum before the tack, furling half at least of the J0 in, taking the boat through the breeze, and then the sail comes back out and back onto the power. And the boat lengths are starting to build in favour of this boat here as Jan Ellis quickly runs from one side to the other. Now 11th Hour Racing Team, they are tacking now to go round. But Sam, I mean, am I wrong here? It felt like there was a little bit of current in play. Team Holcim PRB with the furl. Once again, Avi Ehler just doing the hard work by hand. Why not? Now unfurling on the new side. Big differences in breeze now. I mean, look at how much that bubble has absolutely torn apart the battle for 3rd and 4th. Team Holcim PRB now tacking over, and just out of view on the right-hand side is the white mark, and they are about to go round. The distance here between these boats is only stretching as the wind gets very fickle indeed. And this is the view at the front right now. 11th Hour Racing Team setting up very much to windward here of Team Milizia.
Yeah, I like that hatch as well. It looks like they're managing to get some air inside the cockpit. I guess it's probably pretty waterproof as well, which is, it seems like they have a nice cockpit set up.
And this is why we're seeing the flurry of activity now on Team Milizia. Let's join them for their jibe.
3, 2, 1, okay, cut.
I think the difference in the breeze here has run its course. It has gained for the American. They have closed up the distance, but looking at the angles now, it appears to be that Team Milizia is matching them on depth. Maybe 1 or 2 degrees different, but as they go past the lee of Rose Island, it's going to affect the American boat more. 11th Hour Racing Team is closer to the island, so they're going to get more instability. Might get a little bit of a turbocharge if the breeze is whipping round, but there's always that risk of being close to leeward to anything close to the breeze here. The Team Milizia, I mean, if anything, I'd say Team Milizia now are actually the lower boat here, Sam. By my eye, it's changing all the time. Looks like the Germans have got the puff.
So they're talking about the tide. They're wondering whether the tide's changing. If it's changed, they can't really understand exactly what's happening, so they're trying to work it out.
The course has been changed. The new bearing to the leaving gate is 230, distance 0.2 nautical miles.
Very handy for them to call out what the sea flag means there. All the sailors should know, but there we go, confirmation over the VHF. The course has essentially been shortened. The leaving gate has left Castle Hill and is now just in front of Team Milizia now. We're starting to see little bit of nerves on the face of Jan Ellis, just looking up at the main, just trying to find out where the breeze is going. Let's look at the speed difference below 2 knots for Team Milizia, above 5 knots or just dipping under for 11th Hour Racing Team. And the course that Team Milizia are steering isn't really taking them across that line. This should have just been holding course for a couple of 100 meters and Team Milizia would take the 5 points.
Yeah, 11 Hour Racing just jibe, so I think it's just that, you know, the option that they have available at this point. They are trying to stay with the only breeze that they get, hoping that, you know, more breeze will come like behind them. But as Sam said before, the jibe is always a really slow maneuver, and even that right now Milizia is starting to get a little bit more breeze, filling up the sail, and absolutely agree with Sam on the, you know, sometimes you just go on the J2 and try to float around without so much drag in the air.
This is a real difference in tactics here, and if you've tried to get your head around some sailing terms like VMG, this is it pretty much being played out here. Team Milizia are going slow, but they're pointing straight to where they want to go. 11th Hour Racing Team are going much faster, but they're pointing in the wrong direction. Where does that all come together? And I think the clock has pretty much run out for 11th Hour Racing Team. It's certainly in Team Malizia's favour. The patience of Jan Ellis and the cool-headed decision to keep the bow down and just keeping the boat creep has paid off. It's certain now the 5 points for the import race in Newport is with the German team. Jan Ellis keeping that boat sailing well. Charlie Enright deciding to put the extra manoeuvres in to get to the new breeze. Now they're going to have to pop those main battens with very little pressure in the sail. That's always the risk with the light wind jibes. It's a good performance here in Newport, certainly in those opening stages, and definitely from that start. They knew how the current was going to play into that time and distance, read the breeze perfectly, got off the line in first place, losing out in that upwind section to Team Milizia. But now the American team across the gate, closing off that import section and getting 4 points to their import race series and holding on to first place in the import series, and because of that, still holding on to second place overall. Look at the spectator fleet now out there on the water, and they're going to force Team Milizia into a jibe here.
Their boat speed on your AIS screen, so just like we can see the boat speeds with the virtual eye, they can see that too. So there'll be someone looking on the computer, maybe it will be Charles Caudrelier, inside the boat, and reporting that back to work out where to go and where not to go.
Our Team Wholesome PRB are now through. They will be using those boats ahead. They will be using everything they can because they have an opportunity here to try and close up. Ahead of them is 11th Hour Racing Team, and ahead of them is Team Malizia.
And what about the points for the import race? You're happy?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, are we one step ahead?
Yes.
Well, the import, this one we won, and the overall ranking, I don't know.
Maybe you can ask the people.
Yeah, we asked to the
viewer.
To the viewers, what is the consequence of this? Are we now second overall or still third? You tell us, huh?
Oh, okay, Sam, do you want to tell him? Because that's not the way that my maths is working out here.
No, well, I said it was you had to explain that to the viewers because it's just too complicated for me to explain.
Okay, as Jeff Ogle said, I think rather sarcastically, he said, yeah, this is compelling. Yeah, it was sadly pretty light there at the end of all that. And Boris Herman, who we love, and we've been following him in the Vendée and this, he obviously thinks the import race, I guess he does, thinks it has some bearing on the overall results, which it does not.
Why?
Because it's only for tie breaking. The import races, they add those scores up, and whoever comes out on top, if there's a tie, then whoever. Kind of like using the regular season in various sports league to do what they're going to do for breaking seeding ties when you go into the playoffs. So you saw what it was like. It was pretty light, pretty well, not so compelling after the start. Let's see what
the Newport shore or the
Charlie.
high road with pressure, but you know, we keep banging out seconds in the import race, we're gonna be just fine. But now we got 3,500 miles to Denmark. Maybe it'll be this close all the way. Who knows? It's felt like that. But it's a big thank you to everybody that came down. Absolutely amazing.
Well, the current standings from the departure with Team Malizia in first place, 11th Hour Racing Team in that tight battle, but ultimately just losing out in second. Team Wholesome PRB in third place, Bioterm in fourth. From Guyo Environment, Team Europe unable to take to the water today, scoring 0 points for the Import Race Series. The maximum 5 going to the Germans. So what does that do for the import race overall standings? Well, it closes things up at the top as well as move Team Wholesome PRB up into third place. 11th Hour Racing Team still in the lead with Team Malizia in second. The Swiss team up into third, pushing Bioterm down into fourth place, only by 1 point for the moment. A wonderful display of some very impressive sailing here in Newport. Really good from all of the teams. My big thank you to Sam Davis and Francesca Klapčić for joining me in the commentary box. A good display of what these sailors can do here as Biotherm is coming down to the gate. Strong performance, but ultimately we will have to wait to see who gets to Aarhus in the lead. Aarhus set to be an incredible stage as this race continues.
Okay, too bad there wasn't more breeze, obviously, and a lot of you comment on it. Steve Atkins was there, but I don't think he was there for the start, and he was there earlier in the week, and the current is ripping. Yeah, they're on it looked like a pretty good flood tide there, and maneuvering in these boats is not exactly fun. Yeah, there were guests on board, Gordon Smith, and there's some photos of them hopping off, which is traditional in these boats after the start. The guests... a VIP guest or two. I didn't think the Germans looked confused. I thought Boris and Team Malizia looked pretty good, Stingray. Yeah, import scores of the tiebreaker, Steve Gruber confirming. Just blazing, just. Holtzman is saying, well, I go back to the start. I've got some photos here, courtesy of George Beckwith. Remember when it closed up there and whether Wholesome could hold the windward boat Malizia out from passing between their bow and the committee boat? And several of you pointed out that it was well after the starting gun. And I think Malizia got through no problem because they were, they're throwing dirty air onto the sails of Wholesome PRB. But also, as several of you pointed out, Wholesome PRB after the starting gun can't prevent a windward yacht from passing through between themselves and the committee boat by where's Clark Chapin when we need him? Steering a course higher than the next mark or your proper course or whatever the current wording is. So these are nice photos from George. and they got through okay. Malizia, as you saw in the video. It wasn't a huge crowd, but there's only 4 boats. But and the weather was not. These people in Newport know sailing backwards and forwards, inside and out. And but a nice, apparently all week long, pretty good turnout at Fort Adams. Well done by Brad Reed and co. And out at Castle Hill, as they went through the final gate, turned the corner to go out into the Atlantic. That scene on that grass outside of Castle Hill back in 1983, and then the America's Cups before that, was just simply epic. Thanks, George Beckers, for those videos. And then to bring you up to date, there is a live look at the race tracker, and you can see the boats are already through those exclusion zones outside of Newport. They're way past Halifax now, headed well and truly to the northeast. And here is the race report for today.
It's pretty not bad hedge. I think it's unlikely we'll go before we join.
I should read this. After the easy sailing conditions of the first 24 hours, the fleet is now in the open ocean, experiencing fast, uncomfortable blasting conditions. And 11th hour is leading Wholesome PRB by 24.6 miles as we speak. It's a tough angle for the Amoca boats, but the crew on Team Wholesome PRB are working hard to protect their overall lead by only a point.
Angle sailing these boats, like 70 to 90 true wind angle, and a short, sharp swell.
Same story on Team Malizia as the crew settle into their rhythm for the North Atlantic crossing. You heard from Abby Ehler a moment ago.
I couldn't.
Rosalind Kuiper. Hard conditions for the next 24 hours. The Gulf Stream will become an increasingly important factor on this complex tactical leg. Yeah, it'll make it pretty bumpy and bouncy too as they cross the stream. That's today's race report for the 23rd of May from the Ocean Race. Since 1973, by various names, Whitbread, then the Volvo, and now the Ocean Race. Now, our Fozy Clark Chapin has checked in with his first charts of this 5th leg, and you can see 11th hour racing on the top line, and then the distance between the boats as the others are falling back. 11th hour, maybe they'll have a repeat here of their leg up from Itajaí, and if so, that'll launch them into the lead overall, because Wholesome PRB just has a 1-point lead. They're in second place, a lot of race left, and it will get tricky. This is a tactically very challenging, well, they all are, but this one in particular. Thanks, Clark Chapin, for that, and also for his average speed chart. As you can see here, this is the leader, and their average speed has been 16 knots and change, but they're above that now as they're in that breezier conditions, as you will have seen on the race report for today. Thank you, Clark, for your charts. Now you'll be asking about the boat that did not start, and I checked in with various sources today, and there was evident confusion because Guillot, Julia, you're looking at me like you're giving me kind of a, what?
What?
Evident confusion here on Sailing Illustrated? That's why I check with multiple sources, because I was told by 2 sources that the team had not left, that is Team Guillot, Environment Europe, whatever that they had not left Halifax. You know, remember, they're the team that dismasted in the North Atlantic, and instead of turning to Newport, they went straight to Halifax on their jury rig and with their motor as best they could, kind of reaching into Halifax. Went to go see Maura Stevens, I guess.
Yes.
And then They don't have a rig, but they are loaded. And one of the Fosey told us on Friday's show that they expect, I can't remember, one of you told us he expected them to depart on Sunday. And checking with multiple sources today, a couple said no, they didn't. And then a very authoritative source, I won't name him or her.
The skipper.
No, not the skipper, but assures me they did in fact leave on a ship on Sunday, and they're headed for Europe. Now, the question remains whether or not they will be able to they'll get a new mast sooner or later because this boat's going to race in the Vendée. But whether they can participate in the rest or will participate in the rest of the ocean race apparently is still up in the proverbial air. So that's the report for Newport and a little bit beyond. Again, we're about right now should be getting an update here on the website. Let's go down and do a clicky doodle. 11th hour racing. Yeah, we're beginning. The updates are on the hour now, 2100 UTC. The next one at 2200. So it is looking like 11th hour racing is well and truly with a 24.6 nautical mile lead. And over Wholesome PRB, I should add. Team Malizia in third, 45 miles back and change. Biotherm in fourth, 85, almost 86 miles back. And interesting, those three teams have all lost. So there must be either 11th hour is steamed up here. They're really cooking. Or maybe they are... maybe they got more pressure. Maybe they got more breeze or better Gulf Stream. I don't think they're into the Gulf Stream yet, but maybe they are. Refresh, it's now, thank you, Peter Selwyn. It's now showing 24.9 nautical miles lead. Yeah, okay, they've gained 0.3. Thank you, Peter. 0.3 of a nautical mile to 11th hour racing. Okay, so much for all of that. Do you know what day the 23rd of May is, this day in history? I give you some clues, Julia, as always. It happened in 2022.
Oh, yeah?
Any idea? Here's your first clue. Any idea?
Not offhand.
New York City. That helps or not? See if any of our Fosey get it.
2022.
New York City removes
Phone booth?
the last payphone from service a year ago today. And I looked through to see what other cities. London still got their red boxes. You know, they're down from tens of thousands in the country, across the country, down to a few. Peter Taylor's got it, who lives in New York City, the last payphone. So you would expect Peter, the bright boy that he is and living in New York, knew that. So the last payphone was removed from service in New York City. Now, where do you think that last payphone was going? It'll be displayed, I never knew this existed, at the Museum of the City of New York as part of an exhibit looking back at life in the city before computers.
I was thinking they might just put it in Times Square and as an icon.
As an icon. Now, what do you think, Julia, the biggest problem is with no phone booths in New York City? There's one serious problem. Here's your clue. Andrew Davola got it. The day Superman left town, nowhere to get changed. Peter says that they've got more London red phone boxes in New York City at various bars. Superman can't change. Steve Atkins got it. That's the biggest problem with this change in technology. But it's true. When was the last time you used a payphone? Can you remember? I can't even remember the last time I used one. I mean, I can remember using one and using my credit card to make a call someplace from someplace to someplace.
Yeah.
But I can't ever remember putting coins in since probably I was a kid.
Oh, no. I've done it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Superman was always struggling to find a quarter for a change. Okay, carrying on here. I love this slide. I really do like this slide from our cover slide for today.
Yeah.
The helicopters, a lot of action. That's obviously from Team Elite winning that import race. Let's get to the America's Cup and AC37 Cup date. And there's a nice video from ETNZ today, from yesterday, of them two boating in their AC40s off Shelton Beach. Have a look. Oh, this is the photo, not the video. So yeah, I just a promo photo here. ETNZ two boating in AC40s off Shelton Beach in lovely Auckland, and here now is the video.
Should we start with a ball one and then?
Yeah, look, big 3 days to Rehutai on Monday, and then the LEQ12 and the One Design boat out today. Huge week, squeezing the days in while the weather's good. Real busy time for us just before we send a lot of kit up to Barcelona, so I'm pretty happy with how it's going. Yeah, it's been a pretty epic week. 3 boats in 3 days has been a huge push, while there's a lot happening in the shed getting ready to go to Barcelona as well. So it's good fun being back in the 40 today, and I feel very small compared to the 75, and it's really interesting, you know, bringing a lot of the things that we've learned from the 75 back into little boats, and you know, starting to get into some more testing and also some two-boat racing. So it was really cool to be out there blasting around.
Interesting that Nate Outeridge is featured now. Yeah. Good to see him, and he's been driving. Of course, they must be packing up the big boat for Barcelona, and these two boats have to go as well. I was speculating with Stingray the other day as to whether or not which teams were shipping which boats to BCN, and I guess we'll soon see. Thanks to ETNZ for that video. Now let's check in with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. They also issued a video today about testing training that they're doing on their AC40.
We're here with Shannon Falcone, on-water operation manager. Shannon, looked like a productive sailing day. Can you break down the day for us?
Yeah, it was a good day out on the water. Sea breeze filled in nicely. Had the young guys on the boat too, and ultimately it was just, you know, laps around the race course. I think something you may have spotted was just interfering with the LEQ a bit more. That's just part of the process to get the sailors on board, starting the comms loop, calling relatives, putting them in difficult situations. It's easy to sail around by yourself, ultimately, and that's something that not allowing, you know, not being able to, you know, do two boating and so on, you have to sort of engage in that, and it was something that with Philippe last campaign, it got really good with the 75. So just bringing it with our LEQ now, and you know, hopefully helps the guys to debrief, you know, situations that they haven't, you know, sort of had before, and just get them talking about it. It's all about communications, really.
Shannon, more on the interfering, is there certain boat courses and boat speed you have to follow, or are you just spontaneously trying to get in a spot where you put them?
Ultimately, I think the decision is better on the race. I mean, race course is so small with the boundaries and everything. It's, you know, with Chase 1, you basically sail like you're on a sailing boat. So you've got targets, true wind angles, you've got all the instrumentation on board anyway, to sail as if you were sailing the race boat, you know. In your maneuvers, you drop the speed so you're not gaining too much in the maneuvers and so on, and you're just trying to basically do it. So the good thing is, you know, I've got a great team, Max calling tactics, you know, Gila navigating, Mickey calling relatives, so just feels like, you know, we can really bring it to the boys and show them how it's done.
And Chuck, beside that, what's your responsibility on the safety side in the team?
So, I mean, on-water ops is basically managing, you know, once the boats leave the dock, you know, just having responsibility of crisis management. You know, luckily, you know, we went through some difficult times last campaign, but just I think with the experience, and not only myself, but with the other people involved in coming up with a really good crisis management protocol, all the safety training for all the sailors, and also for anyone else that goes out on the platform. because as you know, we can have 2 extra spots on the boat. So whether it's designers or guests and so on, they all have to go through their safety training, whether it's in the pool using, you know, our aqualung gear and all that kind of stuff. So it's just basically, you know, we're here to win the cup, but we're making sure that, you know, we're doing it as safe as possible.
And beside that is also your role on the water to keep an eye on us where we are. And
no, I mean, you guys, I mean, something we've talked about, you know, is the fact of basically, I think something you guys appreciate is trying to keep up with, even now, just a 40-footer, how difficult it is even here in Cagliari, which on a good sea breeze, you know, Scirocco day with only even half, you know, or 3/4 of a meter of wave action is a rough ride. The sailors have it easy on the boat when they're foiling, so kudos to you guys for, you know, trying to keep up too. And that should be something that's fun when, or something that's not fun, but the one thing I do see positive with the HSV coming online at some point is that it definitely smooths out the ride for people having to keep up with the boat.
Certo. Per concludere, un commento corto per i tifosi di Donado Sanitariano.
Allora, giornata spettacolare qui a Cagliari, sole, vento, abbiamo fatto tanti giri di boe, mettendo anche un po' di interferenza con le Chase One, così i ragazzi a bordo cominciano a discutere situazioni. La comunicazione è la cosa più importante, che si è visto anche la scorsa Coppa, che hanno fatto un bellissimo lavoro, che con Jimmy, con Filippo e tutto. Una cosa è anche ora introdurlo ai giovani, che sì, una cosa è andare a fare testing e manovre quando le vuoi fare, una cosa è portare la barca al suo meglio quando non devi solo decidere te quando fare le manovre, se c'è un'altra barca che ti sta forzando a fare delle cose. Allora, cominciando da quello, spero che ci seguite tutti. Sfortunatamente non ci vedremo qui a Cagliari, allora dovete tutti venire a Barcellona l'anno prossimo.
Grazie, Shannon.
Shannon Falcone, who's he's an Italian family, but he's from the Caribbean and one of the nicest guys in the sport. I say that about a lot of people, and it's true, but he is truly a nice guy. I've done a couple cup campaigns with him. Smart guy, big, strong boy, and obviously one of the leaders now in LRPP. The impact of sea swell. Gordon Smith, I think you picked out exactly the phrase I was going to highlight, Gordon. The impact of sea swell is rather easy to see in this video, and Shannon talked about it. Jeff Ogle saying Shannon is a stud. Yeah, he is. He's just a cool guy. Everybody loves him. Yeah, they're going to have hydrogen, supposedly. I think by rule they have to buy these hydrogen chase boats from.
But nobody's seen them.
Well, no, they've seen the one, the ETNZ boat, and presumably the others are in production. But right now they're being chased around, as Steve Gruber said, by chase boats with 4x450 horsepower engines. Of course, they're not. That's not burning up much carbon fuel, I'm sure. So what else? I didn't notice him talking with his hands any more than probably I do or anybody else does, Stingray, but what do I know? Now, there's an interesting thread here that, speaking of Stingray, that he sent me a link to this morning. I've been watching in the Spanish news as well, because there's been some disquiet coming out of, and we haven't run anything. We've Stingray, Julie, I've told you about it. And Stingray and I have been talking about it because he'll get he has search engines that'll curl the hair, any hair that's not curl on your body. I'll tell you, he's got amazing search engines, and he'll send me a link, and he sent me one this morning. And first I'll do the setup, and that is about the Youth and the Women's America's Cup. This from the website, the ACE, the AC37 website, saying that who's racing: New Zealand, Great Britain, America, Italy, Switzerland, France, Spain, Netherlands, Canada, Germany, Sweden, and Australia. All 6 of the confirmed entries for AC37 in BCN will be fielding both youth and Women's America's Cup teams, and we've heard a fair bit about that. I'm now editorializing, as they will respectively be representing their confirmed clubs from those countries. So then the 6 remaining teams that form the other side of the grouping come from Spain, from the Club Náutico, the Real Club Náutico in Barcelona, the Netherlands, Canada, the Royal Van, Germany, the Keeler Yacht Club, Norddeutsche Regatta Verein, which is in Hamburg, Sweden, the Royal Göteborg, and Australia, the Cruising Yacht Club, which we featured on this show. Selection processes are well underway with all the teams, and we will bring you confirmed athletes as soon as they are announced. Now, apparently there's one team where the selection process is not well underway, and I've checked around with some Spanish sources and looked at some websites after a couple articles have appeared, including this one today in Plaza. Now, to be fair, this is a Valenciano website outlet, and Valencia, as those of you who live in Spain or have lived in Spain, did the cup there, will know that Valencia and Barcelona are hugely competitive, are not right, Julia. They're not the greatest of friends, even though their language, Valenciano and Catalan, are essentially the same language. But you ever say to a Catalan, "Oh, you just speak Valenciano and we speak Catalan here"? Not that I ever did, but they all speak Spanish, which is the lingua franca. It's the Mandarin that holds together Spain, but everybody still speaks their local dialect. At least the older folks do. Well, this website, which is called ValenciaPlaza.com, has an astonishing article, and I've read it twice, and the Google translation thereof, saying the headline, companies flee the Copa America in Barcelona, written by a guy called Pedro Sardina, ValenciaPlaza.com. And I called Stingray this morning and said, have you seen any other news? What else besides the 2 or 3 other articles we've seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks? And we haven't mentioned it. We haven't even said anything on the air. But once this one came out, in checking with one good friend in Barcelona this morning, whom you all would know if I mentioned his name, and I won't. There's some problems, and apparently the Real Club Náutico Barcelona, who's supposed to be fielding their women's and youth teams, are struggling to find the resources, find the sponsors or the leaders, people leading that team, those teams. So we'll keep an eye on it. Again, take it with a grain of salt. And I want to be clear, Julia, as I've said to you, and I've said to Stinger this morning, I take no pleasure in seeing this regatta struggle. I want to see, for the sake of our sport,
absolutely,
for the sake of the America's Cup, to see this regatta go forward in spades, go very well. Really have a great event, and this women's and youth thing turn into a great event. I don't want to see it struggle. I think they made a huge mistake by scheduling this pre-regatta in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and I think it's clearer than ever now why they did that, because they need the scratchola to help fund this event. So we shall see how this plays out, and if any of you has news, if any of you has any other information than what so far Stingray and I have seen, please send it along. Steve Gruber saying Valencia seems to have at least 3 dialects. I had a lot of trouble with that. Well, they've got the old Valenciano and in Spanish, the Castilian. And Stingray agreeing, I hope it works out. Yeah, there's no schadenfreude, to switch from Spanish to German, to see this struggle, let alone to have it fail. We don't want that to happen, and I doubt it will. But I think Mr. Dalton's got his hands full, and we'll see how this goes. A more pleasant news now. We have another 4A. Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. And he's on this tour around Australia with his president's hat on. He's president of Australian Sailing. And we've been reporting on this. And this latest report is an interview he did with the CEO of Australian Sailing while they were out in WA in Western Australia last week. Have a look. The place that they're in is down the shore from Perth in a place called Mandurah. And they've got a great boating club, sailing and offshore club down there. And this is Alistair's report. There's Mandurah.
Yep. G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosey. I'm standing here with the CEO of Australian Sailing, Ben Houston. So say hi, Ben.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. And we're here at Mandurah Offshore Fishing and Sailing Club. and we're here for one of the state sailing summits that we do. I'm going to do a quick pan around and show you the environment, and then we'll come back to Ben and say good day to him and ask him what he thinks of the sailing summits and how they're going. So I'll just do a quick pan around to the club. You can see it in the background behind us. It's a fantastic clubhouse, and we've got an off-the-beach facility in there behind us with some little boats, a great marina, and just seconds ago I actually saw a dolphin swimming. Did you see that, Ben?
No.
No? And then we'll come round here again to the sailing boats behind us. But now I'm just going to bring Ben in alongside me. So, Ben, CEO of Australian Sailing, how do you like the job?
Well, I love the job and I love working with you.
Oh, you like your boss?
Yeah, I like my boss.
This is good. And the sailing summits, tell us what you think about how they're going and what the highlights have been. Why are they good for clubs?
Well, we're here in Western Australia and this is part of our National Sailing Summit. So it's an absolute privilege being able to come with Alistair and my broader management team to come not only to talk to our clubs and club members, but also to hear from them what their challenges are, what the opportunities are as we work together in a real partnership with the clubs and club members to drive the outcomes that we're looking to achieve under our strategic plan.
Yeah, and just a couple of the key goals in our strategic plan. What's biggest for Australian sailing?
Well, for me, the number one goal is more women and girls in our sport.
That's what we want to hear.
So we've got about 32% of women and girls in our sport at the moment. We have an aspiration to get that to 50% by 2032, and we're well on the way. There is more work to be done, but that I think is my number one. Alistair?
Yeah, well, I was just talking to one of the ladies in the club right now, Janet, and she is going to be the first ever female Commodore of Royal Perth Yacht Club in its 160-year history. How can it take that long, Ben?
Well, it's all about starting at the top, Alistair, and as you know, the Australian Sailing Board, we've got 9 members on the board, your chair, of course, but of the 9 members, 5 of those are women, and I think that demonstrates your commitment and the commitment of the Australian Sailing Board to getting more women and girls in sport.
Absolutely, and my vice president is a woman.
Absolutely.
And so next in line, hopefully, to be the head of Australian Sailing.
Indeed.
Thanks, Ben. It's been just a quick chat. We'll have to turn you on to Sailing Illustrated. It's a great sailing blog. Tom and Julia host it.
I already follow it.
I already do. There you go. So we're spreading the word. One chief executive at a time over here. And we're really enjoying your show, Tom and Julia. And we'll see you next time, and we'll tune in to the next show. Great. See you, Tom.
Thanks, everyone.
See you, Julia, and see you, Ben.
Thanks, Alistair.
Okay.
Bravo Zulu, right? Nice stuff, guys. Thank you very much. Ben was hired in 2019 from memory, looking at the press releases, and Alistair, of course, is the newly minted, less than a year, I think, as president. He's just taken over. And I love this, them going around to the various states in Australia, and each has its own yachting federation, and having meetings, as he's doing, these so-called forums,
Right.
fora, as you would say
Yeah.
in Latin or at Stanford, and meeting with the people, seeing what's going on. And bravo Zulu also to the Royal Perth Yacht Club.
Yes.
I didn't know that until watching the video, that they're having their first ever female Commodore. And what did he say? He said 100 plus years. Did he say 160 years? I don't think it's that long, is it?
I don't know.
But it's a beautiful location. And again, the other thing, you wonder why these countries have such great sailing. And great, whether it's just recreational sailing or performance in the Olympics or the America's Cup or whatever else. But New Zealand, Australia, the Brits, to name 3, celebrate the clubs, celebrate the activity within the clubs, like John Emmett at the top of the show, Castle Cove Sailing Club, and the kids there and the cadet officer, and nobody's ashamed to be a member of a sailing club or a yacht club. They celebrate it. It's the social headquarters of the club. We don't think of St. Francis as being stuffy. Probably everybody else in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, who's not a racing sailor, not a sailor, probably thinks St. Francis, oh, that's a yacht club. That's like, that's like a big country club. And it's not. It's really a bunch, okay, it's a nice place, but it's a bunch of sailors who get together and have a cocktail at the bar.
Yep.
And
work hard.
And, work hard for the sport, sail hard, and have fun. And it's social and so on. So I salute these guys and all the countries that do, as Paul Henderson always said, and I completely agree, the heart and soul of our sport are the clubs.
That's right.
And it doesn't have to be a fancy club like this club in that they're at in WA or your club, St. Francis. It can be a simple yacht club like the Beach Street Yacht Club,
Yes.
which barely has a facility, and is just 150 people who get together and sing and, well, up there on your Burgee that sing.
Drink.
And drink a glass of red wine. Now, apropos all of that, Julie, did you see that Scuttlebutt has run again? Every year they run their list of yacht clubs around the world and what the club's drink is. Like the Hummer at Bayview Yacht Club in Detroit, and the Dark and Stormy is the drink of choice at many, many clubs around the world. Did you see the drink that was listed for St. Francis?
No.
It was in error. I'm surprised you didn't write to Scuttlebutt already to fix it. They listed the Sloe, S-L-O-E.
Slow Gin Fizz?
Gin Fizz.
Uh-oh.
When everybody knows it's the Ramus
Yes.
Gin Fizz.
Absolutely.
And what's the official drink here at the Beach Street Yacht Club?
Tequila soda.
The tequila soda, or maybe even the tequila gin fizz.
Yes.
The tequila fizz.
Tequila Fizz is wonderful.
We've substituted tequila for gin.
Yeah.
In our,
Mhm.
and I think it's a better drink
It is. It's
than a
more-
gin fizz, a tequila fizz.
It's more refreshing.
You invented that. Thanks to Ferdy, the bartender. Why are we talking about alcohol? We're back finally. Sailing Illustrated, the drinking show with a sailing habit. Nice stuff. AAA, 4A, Alistair Murray.
Yeah.
With the Royal Naval Band. Thank you, Alistair. Terrific stuff. Much
And
appreciated.
it's good to know that they're listening to the clubs, and that's what they're, they should be congratulated for that.
They should be. And, why doesn't the president of U.S. Sailing, maybe they do, I just don't, maybe, I don't know. Why don't they go around and meet with each of the 36 yacht racing associations around the country? We don't have state yacht racing associations or sailing associations like they do in WA or in Australia, but we have these groups like here it's the YRA of the Yacht Racing Association of San Francisco Bay, or now it's called the Sailing, whatever they call it now, because they try to get rid of yacht and they try to get it racing. But there's the Detroit Regional Yachting Association. Yeah. There is the Inland Lakes Yachting Association, which is Scow Country up in. And if I were president of U.S. Sailing, I'd go around and meet and say, hey, let's all get together, not at a hotel, at a yacht club.
Yep.
Like these guys are doing.
Yeah.
Bravo, Zulu. Bravo, Zulu. Okay, Julia, anything else? We've got comments. The Texas TSA, James Frederick Bland, yes. And now they're all complaining about whether their clubs are on the list. Love the Drinking Illustrated segments. Stingray, do we have to start Alcohol Illustrated, Bill Winker? Do we have to start doing a weed segment? I don't smoke pot. I don't do drugs other than alcohol and caffeine. I do have the odd. But yeah, is it SLO, James Bland? Is that how you spell slow, Julia?
SLOE.
I thought it was SLOE too. Isn't that a red berry? Some kind of a berry?
Yeah.
You don't sound enthused.
It is, but I don't think the juice is red, which is what I was thinking.
Well, I like your tequila fizz.
I do too.
Just get rid of the gin and use tequila.
Yeah.
That gets us to a little bit of a weird segment. And not that Jody's weird or anything, but we haven't had a corrector crutonic for a while. And I ask all of you, you've seen it, several of you have referred stories to us, to me here, about this next little, I got a video here, it refers to it, but there have been lots of other stories in the media about orcas attacking sailboats. Have a look.
And say...
Okay, so this, I got to voice this. A British couple sailing off Gibraltar were attacked. The mammals, yada, yada, attacked the boat. This is courtesy of the Telegraph. This is one of several incidents in the same area. A vengeful killer whale called Gladys is leading gangs of orcas into battle against these boats, and apparently going after the rudders. Researchers believe that this female orca called White Gladys has been hell-bent on revenge after being traumatized by a collision with a boat or being trapped in illegal fishing. net. Really? I got to ask you if this is correct or correct. I mean, I don't doubt that it's happening. Gladys, nautical attacks are now being copied by the rest of the killer whale group. What do you call them? Pod?
Yeah.
So that's courtesy of the Telegraph. And I ask all of you, are these attacks, is this coincidental? Is it really happening by way of more than one?
Revenge.
Revenge, is it happening or not? I mean, we see these press reports.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still back on alcohol. Nothing against weed, but no, Tom, he's not a smoker. I resemble that comment. Shields is saying, hi, Jody. Slow, they are the berries of the blackthorn bush, okay? Could the increase in orca attacks be climate change related? Okay, Stingray, he comes in from the left. Rising sea levels. Why would they attack sailboats? What's my old stomping ground? Ted Ryman is saying, talking, I guess, about Gibraltar. We never saw an orca in that area. Fog Machine here in the bay saying, I know of a J105 that was rammed by a whale off the Golden Gate. It got angry when it was wedged between the rudder and keel, and when it was freed, it came back with a vengeance.
Don't blame him.
Clayton Embley, they need to be careful. If they kill a human, they might get the electric pool. And it's marked on the charts, is it? Really? If there are calves around, it could be a protection. Now, there's the first thing that really makes sense. I don't know, Julie, what do you think?
Yes, I agree.
Our sensible friend Bill Wingrove in Tampa, Florida.
Yep.
The pirates have outsourced to orcas lower cost of labor. Peter Taylor. There's a pod on the southwest coast of Spain, which is, I saw that, Gordon Smith.
Yeah.
They're extremely intelligent. Yes, apparently more intelligent than just about any other mammals. Very capable of working that strategy and apparently teaching others, I read today. Really, a gang of killer whales? Ed Worley thinks it's crutonic. Mostly South Africa, I thought, Steve Atkins. No, I think it's been in the Med and Spain. Well, Spain and the Med. Maybe the orcas can smell the new drinks. The orcas. I mean, is this correct or crutonic, Julia?
Yeah.
These news reports.
Yeah.
I think it's clickbait mostly. I think maybe there's been a little bit of this and somebody ran into a pot of these things and they probably.
I think we could ask somebody like the Monterey Institute and they will tell us.
Clayton Embley saying, I've been told they react to the color of bottom paint, or it could be other things in the bottom paint. Ted Ryman saying, yes, orcas seem to be behaving strangely at the moment. They are killing great white sharks for their livers. Really? Around South Africa. Fritz Mueller says it's plausible. Gordon Smith says it's correct. Steve Gruber says it's correct. Well, it's the first time we've had a correct or crutonic in a long time where people didn't agree.
Yeah.
We are not the only species on this planet with the ability to think, Alan Long says. Thank you, Alan, for that. And a nice link from Boomer Bland saying from, what is that, from Newsweek, orca attacking boats is not aggressive, experts confirm. So we'll go look at that link, and maybe we will play that, Julia, on the next show.
Yeah.
Huh? Julia asking experts like Monterey is sensible but no fun. That's easier to ask correct or crutonic and ask Jody Shields to rule, since he is the chief of correct or crutonic.
Indeed.
Jody, what's Jody think? Is this correct? We'll give him the final say in all this. Is this correct, Jody, or crutonic? What saith you, Jody? He's on here from north of Sydney in Australia. See if he gets a comment in. Does he? Maybe he's off getting his Wednesday morning. Well, he's probably at work already. Barring any comment, we'll go back and see if we get a comment. Sailing orca straight.
That's
cost me. I had to turn my cough button on. Jody says he's not sure if it's correct or crutonic. Sailing orchestrated. Sean Hogan. Sean's been a couple of comments.
Yeah.
In the Seattle Puget Sound, some of the orcas are self-identified. Oh, come on. Stinger had to get a tranny comment in here. I agree with Julia, as this has been in sailing news for well over a year. Indeed, it has. Thank you, Alan Long, for that. Okay, well, I don't know if it's correct or crutonic, but Jody's not sure, so I guess the rest of us are not sure.
Report next week.
And one last comment from Ken Saban in Toledo, Ohio, on the western end of Lake Erie, saying, "We have killer walleye."
Oh, well.
Okay, that's about it. We ought to get ourselves to the last leg here because otherwise we're going to be in real trouble. I have the winners of the day. I don't know if you agree with me or not, Julie, but the winners of the day I have as Wholesome PRB. The fact that they've gotten themselves, now Jody's he's saying it's chronic. But I got to give these guys a lot of credit and gals for getting their boat back together. That,
Yes.
getting it shipped up there, the mad dash to get the new rig rigged, getting everything to work, and they're out there now in second place, 24.9 nautical miles. I did refresh that, thank you. And, they're pressing on. So winners of the day, Wholesome PRB, Team Wholesome PRB. Bravo Zulu to them, and we'll follow them closely. And I hope 11th Hour has another good go, and that we have quite a tight and close race going into the last couple legs of the ocean race. Losers of the day, Julia. Those of us in NorCal, there has been another. This was this morning. This graphic is from a couple days ago, but there have been 2 or 3 or 4 now, maybe significant earthquakes up north of us, up in the Redding area. That's a bit north of us here. But it could carry on, and we could have the big one finally. Or it's not October, I know, so the big ones happen in October. Or we might go another 100 years without a big one. What sayeth you?
I think there are hundreds of earthquakes a day.
Yeah, but you're talking about little ones. I'm talking about these were north of 5 up there.
5 is medium.
Well, you don't seem, you've lived through all this.
Yeah.
You're not too fussed.
No. As long as I'm in a town that respects its structural laws.
Well, we're here, your townhouse here is on some kind of a sand dune or a rock, right?
Yeah. And it's been here for 100 years.
Well, but they didn't live through the 06 quake. It didn't get built till 26, right?
Yeah.
20 years after the 06 quake.
Right.
Okay, we shall check. Check the engine in the boat in the garage. Load on the tequila, Peter Taylor.
Yes, Peter, you're absolutely right.
Okay, we just answered Stingray's question. How old is the BSYC? The townhouse was it 26 it was built?
I think so.
26 or 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I think my apartment building across the street when I lived over there was in 26.
Yeah.
We get to Surf Arizona. Worley is saying. Okay, enough of the orcas and all that stuff. But yeah, the quakes are happening. And again, this is well north. This is Redding and Crescent City, just kind of west of Reno, Nevada. Hope we don't have one here anytime soon. I have this recurring thought. It's not exactly a nightmare, but I have this recurring thought that we're sitting here on the air.
Yeah.
And you see those, those earthquakes in Tokyo or someplace in South America, and a webcam is on in the store, and all the stuff falls off the shelves.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine us being here on the air and all this. Like the other day when they had one of those quakes up north, I told you, this light up here in the corner, I was sitting and I thought I was having, some kind of a stroke or a spaz attack or something, because that light started to swing, and it's just on a spindly little stick. And, I sit here all day, every day in the studio working or putting the show together. And I thought, God, the thing really started to sway. So, okay, enough of that. I think I mentioned that on the show.
I think this is interesting. And Jody says, if the animals are starting to act strange, be prepared for major issues in the world. And I believe that.
Yeah, I think we've all seen that when they have these earthquakes, that the animals sense them before the cats and dogs sense them in the very earliest of shocks. Acid, Steve, I never did acid, Steve. Acid flashbacks, more likely. Well, that could be. When that thing started to shake, though, I thought, man, oh man, is that the precursor? Is that the end? You get online and check right away to see, something's happened somewhere. When you figure out it's not an acid flash, it might have been acid reflux. That's another issue. It is so clear to me that they are very intelligent and communicate with each other. Steve Gruber is saying, yeah, indeed. I wonder what Willie would think of his fellow orcas. Luca Craig weighs in with a classic. Okay, Julia, let's wrap this one up. We're to the finish line. Again, thanks to Bill Wingrove there in his J24. And these are all from one of our FOSI. They're so good that I'm running with all of them from one FOSI who sent in a batch. And this one's cerebral. This one gets you thinking. See the difference between data, random points, I guess you would say, then information, the differentiation of those points, knowledge, where you connect the points, connect the dots, insight, where you have a couple of bright ideas off one or the other, a branch of one or the other, wisdom, when you connect those insights, and then finally, conspiracy theory, when you connect the dots and make a unicorn. That was good. It was cerebral. It was thought-provoking.
It is good.
You know who that came from? Graham Sweeney.
Oh.
So did this next one. In fact, all of them came from Graham. I know how to milk them, but how do I get their methane? Pull my hoof. Pull my finger. It's clean, Julia.
Yes,
it's clean.
It is clean.
You don't have to shake your finger at these.
I didn't.
Now this one is another one. This is historic. Now you could have used this one for a caption contest. What does that look like? What do those guys look like? Special delivery from Troy's R Us, the Trojan horse.
Yes.
I haven't had five such great cartoons, let alone five from one person in a long time.
Yeah.
Graham Sweeney.
Yeah, it's really
up there
good.
in Shetland sending that.
Yeah.
Now say this quickly, 5 times.
Shack of Sit.
One more time.
Shack.
5 times. Shack of Sit, Shack of Sit. I had a hard time saying it.
The Furniture Show.
Well, you can say it quickly. Shack of Sit.
Be careful.
Be careful. That also from Graham Sweeney. And then finally, my favorite couple in the world. I just love these two, and they're providing us with so much entertainment. Another caption contest, and this one will go with, finally, pictures from the New York City car chase. What?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Graham Sweeney. And if there's any question who Graham is, he's this delightful gentleman, professional photographer, now retired. And he's on here for virtually almost every show. He sent this note. I pinged him this morning. Hey, I want to use all those, and thank you very much. And he said, Tom, I'm just happy I can help. If a friend happens to post something fun, I think of Sailing Illustrated and the FOSI and save it. Such great, friendly, interesting people on your show. With all the crazy stuff going on in this world, it's nice to have a few moments a week where people who love sailing talk sailing at a level for all.
How nice. How nice.
Wasn't that nice?
Yes.
And that's what we try to do here, right?
Indeed.
We try to do it at a level for all. We don't want to insult anyone's intelligence. A lot of bright, high-end sailors on here, but there's also some people who are just, along for kind of because they like sailing and are interested in learning more.
Yeah.
And I same for me. If I'm learning every day, then I'm alive. If I'm not,
absolutely.
If you're not, and same for you. I know Julia comes down here. Where's your phone? She comes down here. She's on her phone the whole time. I try to get her to sing and wave your arms around and read some stuff out loud, and she's on her phone learning, listening, learning. Thank you very much, Graham Sweeney, for that kind comment. I appreciate it. Julia, you're a witness.
Yes. Don't deny anybody the opportunity to like, follow, and share this. And it's really easy, and it doesn't cost anything.
Indeed. Stingray saying thank you so much for the 619th time. Yeah, it's 620. What a great show. What a great group we have.
Yes.
Jeff Ogle says, that's me, not a sailor. I don't believe that. Jeff is very knowledgeable. But we appreciate your coming on. Ted Ryman, Sweeney rocks. He does. Do you know him? Do you guys know each other personally? A lot of people do know Graham, especially the Brits. You can drive nowhere fast to New York for 2 hours.
That's true. Everybody said that. Yeah.
Jeff is retired. Okay, well, he's a retired sailor. Thank you, Julia, for that. And comments welcome, as we all say, even in, or we all say, we like to say, even in replay. Help us out. Give us $1 or $2 or $5 or more.
Or more.
Become a patron, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. We appreciate also, thank you to all, but especially those who give us media, video, and images and audio sound for these shows. This is the crop from today. Julia, final thoughts?
I hope the world listens to us.
I hope we don't have a nuclear war. I don't want to get off to end this show on a negative note, but bloody hell. Let's don't talk about it because it's starting to give me the willies.
Or financial help.
Well, you're worried about the finances. I'm not as concerned about that. I think we'll pull through this and we'll all have a great summer of sailing in the Northern Hemisphere. And you down in the Southern Hemisphere will get through your winter. And then before you know it, it will be time for Sydney Hobart at Christmas time. Right?
Right.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Julia. Thank you very much. We hope to see you on Friday, same time, same channel. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now. I agree with Julie Ahrens, who said, the trick to eternal youth is learning something new every day.
Yeah.
Right on.